most influential people of all time weren't book smart, but they had something in common: the Triarchic Theory of Intelligence. According to the American psychologist Robert Sternberg, there are 3 big types of intelligence. You need all of them to reach your goals in life. So it all starts with number 1, practical intelligence, aka street smart. To understand this concept better, let's look at the greatest scammer of the 19th century, Victor Lustig. In 1925, the Eiffel Tower was in pretty bad shape. Maintenance was expensive, and there were even rumors that it would eventually be sold. But Victor saw this as an opportunity. He pretended to be a government official and tried to sell the Eiffel Tower to André Poisson. Compared to the other scrap metal dealers, he knew that André was desperate to rise in status. So he decided to offer him a special deal. 2 days later, Victor was in Vienna with the cash, while André lost a big part of his fortune. That's because André lacked judgment, which is the first part of practical intelligence. How can you improve it? By paying attention to your heuristics. These are mental shortcuts your brain uses to make quick decisions. There are 4 types of heuristics. Anchoring heuristic. We tend to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we're given. For example, salesmen usually show us the expensive version of a product first, so everything else seems cheaper. Availability heuristic. We tend to put too much weight on information just because it's easy to remember. If the news showcases a shark attack, many people will avoid swimming in the ocean, even though statistically, cows kill more people than sharks do. Representativeness heuristic. We tend to judge things based on how similar they are to a stereotype. When you see a guy with tattoos and a leather jacket, you'll assume that he's dangerous. Affect heuristic. We let our current emotional state control our judgment. People rate risky activities as safer if they enjoy them and more dangerous if they're afraid of them. Now that you know how your brain works, you can control which information influences your life. As a bonus, remember that a person who wants to manipulate you will usually overcompliment you for no reason, isolate you from others, or just simply rush you into making a decision. And that's it with the judgment. But remember, that's only half of practical intelligence. You also need adaptability. For this, you have to use the OODA loop. This is a system invented for high-stakes combat situations by Colonel John Boyd. Analyze what's happening in the moment. Figure out what that means for you. Think about the best move you can make. Act without hesitation. Here's an example from Top Gun.
There they are. 3 miles left, 10 o'clock. I don't think they see us yet.
Okay, I see them. 2A4s, left 10 o'clock level, continue left turn.
But a single type of intelligence is not enough, so you also need number 2, creative intelligence. 30 years ago, the Japanese bullet train had a big problem. When it traveled through a tunnel, it made a sonic boom. It was a disturbance for the wildlife, the passengers, and mostly for the poor villagers who lived nearby. The engineers started to think and think, but they didn't manage to find anything. So they started to panic, until one day when Eiji Nakatsu discovered that the answer was right in front of their eyes. The kingfisher, a bird that enters the water with high speed and minimal splash. So the engineers inspired the new design for the train's nose by studying its beak. But what's the connection between this and creative intelligence? There's a concept called steal like an artist. Basically, you should take inspiration from art, nature, or anywhere else possible, even from your own domain. Don't believe me? Let me just show you then. And trust me, these are just the most obvious stuff from the filmmaking niche, but this concept extends beyond all domains. Throughout history, we have had people like Da Vinci who took inspiration from birds' biology to try and create the first flying machine, or people like Samuel Morse who used his artistic training to develop Morse code. There are no limits. But remember, you have to always add your touch. Don't just copy and paste, instead copy with taste. Alex Hormozi, one of the greatest businessmen of all time, said that if you really want to get good at a skill, you have to learn from the domain that skill originates from. For example, if you're a YouTuber like me, you can study filmmaking. As a bonus fun fact, creative intelligence spikes when we're slightly tired. Because our brain is less focused, it forms more unexpected and creative connections. But still, there is more to improve. Number 3. Analytical intelligence. There's this technique called first principle thinking. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Warren Buffett all use it. The best part? It's built on just 3 simple steps. Step 1, break it down. Let's take this example. You want to improve restaurants. The first step is to ask yourself, what's a restaurant really? In this case, you might say it's a place where there's a kitchen, ingredients, cooks, and a way to get food to people. Step 2, challenge assumptions. Ask yourself, do people actually need to sit in the restaurant to eat? What if the restaurant didn't serve people, just made food? Step 3, rebuild from scratch. In our case, you remove the dining area, seats, and front staff, you build multiple kitchens in just one place for a lower cost, and optimize only for online delivery. That's how Travis Kalanick came up with the $15 billion company Cloud Kitchens. However, if you think that's too complicated and want a faster tip, I found an interesting game just for you. The 2008 Jeggi et al. Study revealed that dual N-back, a type of cognitive training exercise, can improve fluid intelligence and the ability to solve new problems. How does this exercise work? Basically, you see a square appear on a grid, which is usually 3 by 3. At the same time, you hear a letter. Your job is to remember where the square showed up, or when a certain letter was said. Why does it help? The game forces you to hold, update, and manipulate multiple streams of information at once. The study found that people who trained on dual N-back for just 8 to 19 days significantly improved their analytical intelligence. I suggest starting off with dual 1-back so you can get adapted to the buttons, then you can level up. Even though there are some interesting alternatives out there, the best way to improve your analytical intelligence is still through learning. Luckily for you, I have just the video.